Going to go ahead and start our recording. And with that, I'm going to introduce our speaker. Tonight, we are joined by one of our mentors, Oscar Leon, who's going to present on building your own AI agent. So with that, I'll turn it over. And thanks again, everybody, for being here tonight.
Thank you very much, Hannah. So it's a pleasure to be here and make this presentation for today. So this one, so we are going to talk about today, so to build the AI agent. So we are going to talk about a little bit about the AI tools and when you can use the AI agent, or when is the best way to try to build AI agent. So I know that in the current year, so maybe you are hearing in the street or maybe in a couple of conferences about this concept. So in generative AI, a large language model. So this one is the same? No, it is not the same. So large language model is totally different. So generative AI is totally different. They work together, obviously, to try to build and so make the same proposal. That is try to, collect information and make an automation automation program so that they can copy like the human actions in the real world. So depend of the different world. So let's go to try to just advance to the next level. This is the agenda. Well, let's go to talk about or introduce by myself. So I'm Oscar Leon. I don't know if you know me from, so I am a senior software developer for more than 20 years. So I'm data engineer as well, an AR architect. Well, my work, I work for the health company here in Louisville, Kentucky. So for many years, so I work for Microsoft partners here in United States and also in my original country. So I was a mentor for the past year for the software development pathway. So it is a pleasure to be here and a part of this Go Louisville. This is an amazing community. So if you don't take any of their pathways, so I'm gonna invite you to try to take this. This is the time to try to do that. So this is the agenda we are gonna cover. So repeat. So we are gonna cover what is an AI agent. We are gonna cover what does AI agent works and when you can implement this one. We are going to talk about the tokens, we are going to talk about the tools, and we are going to explain in a demo how this one works. So this one is not going to be so complicated, but it is important to tell you that if you don't know Python, so this one is going to be complicated, but don't hesitate to try to ask me a question. So if you lose your mind or you don't understand anything what I'm saying. So what is an AI agent? So this is a basic concept. Well, we can do this one in like a different way, in like a super hard concept and like a very basic concept. So it's just an autonomous program that we can use, combine it with the different tools, and then you can modify or you can interpret data, analyze the environment, depending of the situation, and a copy an action of the human in the real world to try to solve any particular problem totally automatically. So you cannot do anything else. So, but how this one is possible? So how this one is possible? Well, this one is not coming from this year, from the last year, or from the 2023, from the 2024. So I know this one is a very new for you. So if you don't know anything AI, but this one has, or this one was created many years ago when the neural network comes out, and try to be applied in a different environment or a different company, different strategy. And they are modifying those language, like for example, a couple of algorithms, an algorithm. So if you are hearing about the big data, or you are applying before like a data warehouse, how to modeling or lab queue, etc., etc., etc. Or in a data analytic, if you are processing some data, if you are processing in a database, how you want to apply that one, applying on ETL, applying transforming data, loading data, etc., etc., etc. In that kind of thing, you have to process it or be prepared an algorithm or a special code to try to telling, passing in a couple of instructions, and they're gonna collect that information and a processing depending of the data they have. This is the same basic concept. So we have an algorithm that is a neural network. Obviously, we have a different neural network that is applying on the AI. They're gonna try to receive those information or those instructions. They're gonna be processed. They're gonna analyze the data, and then they're gonna autonomously, they're gonna process that data and then make an action. So do this, searching in the web, I don't know. So what happens? So when I testing on ChatGPT, okay, give me the weather right now. So what is the weather in Louisville? So they're gonna analyze the information. If they don't have that information into the database, into the storage, or whatever, so they're gonna try to do something else. And that one is when the AI agents work. This one is when the AI agents comes out. This is a special concept that is coming from the 2023 to now. And it say, okay, so all of these algorithms receive that information, and this one is an autonomous program. It's supposed to work along. It's supposed to work when I try to just make a request and give me the weather right now. Somebody say, hey, stop. So unfortunately, so I'm not a human. I don't have the possibility to check the weather. So right now, because I'm not connected with the internet, I'm not connected, so I don't know what is the prediction depending on the previous weather and the weather right now, and I analyze that data and I give it to you the response. They're not possible to do that. And what can we solve the problem? So how we can solve that problem? So imagine that you want to create a dream team on the NBA. So this is my dream team, and I'm playing in a PlayStation 5, and I'm gonna try to create the dream team to win all of the game automatically. And I'm gonna do this one. So the only that I want is just say, okay, I want to pick out the best players in the NBA, current players and also previous players. I don't care. So, but they're not gonna play alone. They have to learn about some data, about some previous game. They're gonna receive an instruction, and that is the reason that I'm gonna pick up this guy that you see here on the fourth square. That is a Phil Jackson. That is is the coach. I don't care. This is my man. This is my dream team. You can choose whatever you want. But this is the guy that is gonna tell the instruction to the team, and the team is gonna play depend of the situation. But I'm gonna pass another instruction, maybe another person that work in the team, for example, I don't know, the medical department, the analytical department, IT department. They're gonna work together as the tool, and combining everything, they're gonna give it to the team all of the necessary data that they need to play the game along. So they're gonna pass the ball. If they lose the game, So they're gonna learn about that game. In the next game, they're not gonna try to do the same thing. They're gonna try to make another strategy alone. Totally automatically. I'm not gonna tell you, okay, so you have to play defense, you have to move this one to be a war, etc. No, 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 no. They're gonna do everything automatically because I already give it to them the instruction. And then the Phil Jackson is gonna say, okay, guys, you made this in the previous game, so you don't have to do it. So you have to change your game, and I try to just pass it to LeBron James, and LeBron James is going to pass it to Jordan. Jordan is going to play another position to make the goal of this dream team, that is win the game, all of the games. So, but what happened on this one? This is the agent workflow. How this one works. Imagine that we have the ChatGPT, and the ChatGPT receive a response from you. This is the role. We have the two roles on the AI. We have the assistant, that is the computer, and then we have the user. So, and the user is the first user that interact with the AI or the computer, and it's gonna tell you to the program, hey, pass me this instruction. I want this one. So, and then the AI, the assistant, is going to process that information, and depending of the data, they're going to analyze the environment. They're going to use a couple of tools like an OpenAI. Not necessarily we can use an OpenAI, and not necessarily an AI agent can use a tool. We are going to talk about that one in a future slide. So, but what we are going to do, the important thing is they're going to analyze in a two different ways. They have like a tools and they have a memory. And after processing that environment with the data, they're going to give it to you an action and a response. But they have a limitation. They have a two limitation here. Actually, they have a three, but I'm going to give it to you the ability to try to tell me what is the third limitation. So we have the first limitation here, that is a limit knowledge. The limit knowledge is, and this one is a very important in every AI model that is coming out in the market. When you see here, for example, okay, OpenAI released a version of the ChatGPT or GPT 4.0 model. So you have to be carefully on the release date of that particular model, because that particular model is already trained with the multiple data until that day. So they doesn't know what happened after that day. For example, give me the prediction of the NFL, who gonna win. They doesn't know, probably they doesn't know. And so that one is that we have to be careful every time that we use in a model. So, and what we need to do, what is the goals when we try to make an AI model or AI agents? And also another limitation is the autonomy. Oscar, what you say before that this one is every program in the AI is totally autonomous? Not necessarily. So they all the time need an instruction because they are not human and they need data. They need to be trained before make this program autonomous. Otherwise, it's not gonna be doing anything, and all the time it's gonna try to tell you, you don't have power here. That's it. And we are gonna test this one in the demo. So we are gonna give it to the AI a couple of instructions, and they're gonna, let's see what happened here. So if anybody know, is anybody already tried the building an AI agent. So please tell in the comments. So what is the response that AI or ChatGPT is going to tell you immediately? So this is the response for example, what is the weather tomorrow in Louisville? Okay. So this is another thing about the AI agent, and it's about the memory. So we have the two kind of memory here when we try to build an AI agent, and it's a short term and it's a long term. Short term is when you try to consult any particular action or any particular requirement in real time. So for example, too many conversational chatbots, so they using like a real-time information, like for example, a web search, maybe consulting in another computer in the network. They're gonna try to collect that information at the moment, and they're gonna retrieve that information to you. Long term is totally different. It's what we use when we use historical data, and they're gonna learn from the historical data, and they're gonna return that information. This is more realistic. This is more 100% like a precise. Try to give it to you the response. It is a better response than the short term do for you. It's more realistic. It's what with ChatGPT or all of the OpenAI, Gemini from Google, and other large language model is gonna give it to you because they use the database, they use the knowledge graph, they use different servers to try to local or store that information, and then they're gonna try to consult that information into the database. This is a very important thing as well. So because maybe you have to ask me, Oscar, so since the long term use of the database, knowledge graph improves customer experience, etc., because we collect many information, terabyte of information into a database, into a data set. So this is an efficient way. It is not. It is not. So right now, so if you tell me as an engineer, so this is a pretty good efficient way to try to handle the AI information? No, it's not the way. It's not the best way. Even Microsoft, Google, and everything, they try to handle every day how to perform this one, or to try to. But that is the reason that you see a couple of notice, a couple of news that Google are handling everything on all of the data center, how to perform everything with the water, with using the water to cool in the system. Is because every time that you're processing something, this historical data is giant. Obviously, they try to perform the language, and we are going to see that one in the future. So, but they try to perform the language to try to increase the indexing into the language, into the data. And they're going to access that data quickly. And I give it to you the response. Behind the scenes, this is transparent for you, but it costs a lot of money. It costs a lot of energy. It costs a lot of things for the tech company to try to process in this one. And this one is what we call the tokens here. In a large language model, tokens is the base of the data. What is the reason that the token is the base of the data? It's because every time that we process something or text something in the ChatGPT or any large language model, and I'm processing this one into the AI or online using a web search, etc., we try to convert that one into a token. That is the neural network in a large language model world. Try to transform that conversation, any particular text, any particular word, that you make into that particular chat, they're gonna transform into a token to try to give it to you an ID and a unit ID that is gonna be easy to transform that one into the code. Otherwise, I try to giving the raw text. It's gonna be quite complicated. It's gonna be so slow to try to processing that one every time that you can make a request to the AI model. All this one work, Oscar. This is a token architecture. So we are the user. We make a response to the ChatGPT and say, okay, give me the weather. And now we're processing that particular word or that particular example and processing or encoder that information, giving a token for any part. I think in the real world, I don't know is any other model like for example Google model, Gemini, maybe Dixit or something else. I don't know exactly. I'm not 100% sure. You can research online to try to find that one. But I know that OpenAI, they use it like at least 3 characters. They're gonna give it to you a token for that one. And how you can know that one. So they have a tool here. Let me just modify this one. Let me go out and then maybe we have. Yeah, I got. This is the tool that they have to try to just check how many tokens they're gonna give it to you depending of any particular word or sentence. So, for example, I don't know. And then you have here 5 tokens for that particular sentence. And this is a very important because every time that you make an AI agent or play with the AI, this is how they calculate the price or how they calculate the cost for your agent, for your model as well. So every time that you make, for example, a long term, you know that they're gonna cost some money. So what is the cost for that one, Oscar? It's just a pen. So for example, in the pricing here, so we have all of these prices here. For example, depending of the model as well. They have a limitation as well for the tokens. Every particular model have a limitation for the tokens. How many tokens you can send to the models every particular day. So you can see here, all of the input is going to be cost like $2. And for the captcha input, this is another important thing if you handle memory. So they're going to cost 50 cents. And for the output, it's going to cost $8. For, I think this one is a million token, yeah. The price for 1 million token. So you can check online like a statistical thing. For example, here, I don't know. I think I lose the chat. Give me just a second. Yes. Well, Shannon can share to you the slides. Giving a resource, I have a book that I can share to you, and this is a very important to mention. I can share this one to the resource channel. But anyway, let's go to continue here. Let me go back to here. Okay, this is the token architecture. Okay, so anyway, the user is gonna send a request. The ChatGPT is gonna receive it. They're gonna be encoder. They're gonna transform that one in a token. And then the model is going to receive that one, and they're going to be processed using a neural network algorithm. What kind of neural network algorithm? I don't know. If that one is going to depend of situation. It's going to depend on situation. This one is a mathematical problem. So this one is an statistical problem. So if you want to know a little bit deeply about the AI, how this one works behind the scenes, so you have to understand a little bit math, a little bit understand about a statistical thing, processing data, etc., etc., etc. This is too much for cover in 1 hour. So, but what I try to pretend is just to explain that every particular request is going to be transforming into a token. The token is going to passing to a model using a statistical and algorithm. It's going to be processed here very fast. And then after that, the response is going to be returned into a token as well. And then ChatGPT is going to be responsible, or that model is going to be responsible to decode that token again and give it to you the text that you receive in the chat. For example, this is the response, blah, 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 blah. Okay. What kind of tools we use for build a large language model or AI agent? So we have multiple different tools. So I just cover here in this slide 5 of them that I use normally in the real world. We have the LangChain chain. So they combine a multiple text feature that you can handle it every time that you can send a prompt to the AI, OpenAI, DeepSeek, etc., etc., etc. Whatever you can use it. We have the line graph. They can. This is fantastic. This is fantastic too. So if you use it in Python, because you can handle like a picture, they can handle a graph, they can handle memory in 2 different ways. So it's super, super cool. So we have the Anthropic, if you use a Cloudshare. We have a Llama, that is the Google one. We have an old Llama that is part, I think the core is part of the Llama, but anyway, that's another different area. But all of those tools, you can use it to build AI agent. So using Python, not only Python. Python is right now is the universal code tool that you can use it to build AI programs. But you can use a C#, you can use a JavaScript, and then you can use it. I don't know, Java, etc., etc., etc. I know the Llama, they build another framework for only Java. I don't remember the name, but so I saw that one and it's pretty cool. So anyway, let's go to pass it to the demo. Anybody have questions so far? Okay, so anyway, so let's go to pass to the demo. Let me know if you can see the Visual Studio Code. Okay, cool. So this one is a very simple program that I made. So the only that I have is just the main function here. So this is Python. Obviously, I already made my environment, so I already activate that one as well. I already installed the requirements that you need for this proposal. This demo proposal is going to be OpenAI. We are going to use a .environment from Python. So it's this one is used to try to handle all of the environment variables. And we are going to use a Tably Python. Tably is another tools that can combine any large language model and communicate by outside using an internet. For example, make a web search, etc., etc., etc. So if you don't know anything about it, so this is the website. So this one is a simple tool, so you can use it. Let me select Python here. So it is very simple. So you can create a client here, passing you API key. So making a response, for example, search, it's just a command to try to make a request for any web search. I think this one is a Google search inside the Bing, because to try to set Bing, you have to use a Microsoft account, and etc., etc., etc. Okay. Anyway, let's go back to the code. So I already installed this one to be this sample very easy. Okay, we have this program again. This is the main class. So we have our agent here, or OpenAI. So what we are going to do here, or what we are doing here, is just transfer all of the classes from OpenAI class, make an initialization method, and I try to make an instance for the class, for the client of OpenAI. We passing all of the future, or all of the settings that we needed to try to make the client. For example, we passing the OpenAI key, we passing the first message that the client needed for open the conversation, and then we pass it all of the message. But at the moment, we don't have any message, because what we are doing is just initializates everything here, and then we have another function that is a chat. That's it. That we pass it the client, and also we pass it the prompt that we needed. To make the configuration of the chat, so we need to pass the user that initialize the conversation. Who initialized the conversation? The role responsible to initialize the conversation is the user. So you have to pass the role. So you have to pass you have to set the user, and then you have to pass the content. What is the content? Basically the message. And after that, you have to declare this one, the completion is just the result. Let's go to try to just modify this one and pass it this one. Okay, cool. Then let's modify this one. So result. There you go. And then we use the model here. We select the model that we needed from the client. And then the message here, we are going to store it in the memory. But this is another setting that we forgot here, that is what kind of memory we are going to use for this AI agent when we're using an OpenAI. When we're using an OpenAI, we have to define if we need a long-term or short-term. In this case, since this one is just a very simple demo, we are going to use the short-term. And then we are going to collect information in a real time and then return to the user. We are not going to store down in any database, etc., etc., etc. To do that, the only that we need is just call the client, and then again, we are going to assign everything. We are going to assign everything. Look at the wonderful thing of Copilot. This is another magic of AI agent. So right now, the only that we are doing, it is assign a different role. And what is the reason that we assign a different role? Now it's an assistant. What is the reason, Oscar? The reason is because the computer, or the AI computer, is responsible to store that information and analyze that one and learn about what you did before. We processed that one, so it's cool. the ChatGPT or the model already received the request. They processed everything, consulting online, consulting in the web search, etc., etc., etc. But now they have to learn. And the way that they have to learn is passing the role assistant and store that information into the content. But what we are going to store is just the result content about what you request before. And then we are going to just return this one, the mistake response in the chat. We are going to receive that one. Let me modify this one. And then in the AI agent or the main file, the main class, we are going to initialize my agent. We are going to try to just call the chat function and then print the result. That's what we are going to do easily. Let's go to try that one. We are going to just call, I think it is agent AY. Let me just, okay, enter the prompt. Let's see. Look at this. What happened now? What is this result? What happened with this result? Anybody know? Sorry, I don't have access to real-time weather data.
Chatbots are generally built off of like stored data from the past when they created the model.
Basically, no. It's because the release date, that is very important. So remember that I mentioned this one. So every particular model, so they have a release date, and this one is already trained. So they doesn't know. That is the limitation of the AI. That is the reason that, well, probably in the future, but right now, so it's not a human. It's not possible to predict any information except if you consult that one using a couple of tools. And that is what the AI agents were. That is when you have to build the AI agent. Right now, the only that we are using is just the model. It's not AI agent right now. It's just a consulting using a model. We are going to use an AI. We are going to try to consult, hey, just give me the weather tomorrow in Louisville, Kentucky. So, but unfortunately, they have a limitation because they doesn't know that data. They not possible to access to real-time information. And now I am responsible as a developer to build AI agent to consult in a, or to build a tool to try to detect that one and make it work. How can I do that? So to do that, so the only that we are gonna do is just use that tools since, let me check in the requirements. Okay, we already install the tablet Python, and then we are gonna use that one. We are gonna just create here. We are gonna just create tools. Tools PY. This is gonna be our agent. It's gonna be responsible to search online, and then retrieve that information into the chat, into our model again, and then give it to me the answer. Give it to me the answer. Okay, so we are going to just pass in here from the tablet. I think it is tablet. Import, I think it is not this one, is tablet client. That's correct. And also we are passing a couple of things. So dot environment. We are going to pass in logs. This is a very important. And then now we are gonna build this one as a function here. That I don't know, search in web, searching web. We are gonna pass in the query. No, I don't want to use that query. I'm gonna use the message, and then we are going to return the tablet client. That's what we are gonna do. I want this one. Oh, this is Copilot did for me. This one is gonna be the message. The message or the prompt, whatever you want to do. And then we are going to send a response. So they create a client, so sounds good. To try to measure 100% that this one is correct, every time you have to read the documentation. So the documentation is very important every time that you build a program. So you have the Python here. So this is how to create a client. That's good. The only that we have just a tablet client, passing this one, and then call the client, and then call the method search. We receive a response, and then we bring the response. Easy. So I think we are good to go. We are good to go. But I think the problem here is how we are going to implement this one, how to detect that the message want to check the future data. The future data. How can I do that? We have many different ways to do it. Maybe modifying the prompt, and I try to say, hey, every time that you try to say, hey, give me the future data or any particular word in that prompt, we can detect that one and analyze, and then do this action. For example, go here, search in the web, try to call this method. But I think that one is a little bit more complicated for now. What we can do is just modify this chat function maybe and pass it like a flag. For example, it is a web search. So, and then we can pass it false. Copilot sometimes is. And then we can make okay, web search. When the web search is true, we are going to do something else. We are going to just what we can do. We can bring we are making a web search. After that, we are going to just result here, and then the results is gonna call. We have to import tools. We have to import tools. From tools, we have to import the search web, and then the search web, we pass it the prompt. That's what we are gonna do. But I think we have to modify the prompt here, because since we are searching in the web, this is something that we have to handle. But let me think about it. Let me just finish this one, and then else. Just configure editor, and let me modify this one. There you go. Sorry, guys. I will sum up. Okay, so we need this one. We need this one as well here. So this is going to be we need the result here, and also we need this one here as well, because we need to store that information as well. happening here? I think, well, I think this one is good. What I'm trying to do here, so we are building the chat, we are modifying the chat function, and then we pass it a flag. So if you are consulting or making a web search or the future data, any particular information in that request, so we are going to execute an action here, and instead go directly to the model. We are going to consult the web search, get the result, and then pass it to the model. Pass it to the model. But what happening here? So the result of the search that tably return, it is so quite complicated because they can return multiple information over the web, like for example, multiple website and whatever. And I think we have to modify that one. Final result, and then instead this one. I don't want this one. I don't want this one. I want like maybe just say, hey, give me the search result. Give me the summary of the search result. There you go. And also there you go. I think I'm wrong here. And then we are going to pass the final result here. Okay, final result. And let's check it again. We pass it the content, we pass it in the memory, and then we return the result here. There you go. That's what we are going to do. And then in the agent, we are going to modify this one. Into passing the prompt, we are going to modify this one. So, and let's see what happened. Let's see what happened. This one is going to receive the web search true, for example. That's what I'll try to just modify it. And I'll try to put that one into, you want to perform a web search? Yes, no, yes. And then after that, we will search flag here. And then we are going to pass it through if the web search. So sometimes, look at this. If you are a good developer or senior developer, or you have an experience of this one, you can detect immediately. Not all the time. This is super important when you use the AI all the time, especially in the company. Not all the time. They're gonna give it to you or retrieve the right information, and you have to analyze that one because you are a human and you're going to put that code into a company. So you have to be efficiency all the time that you want to make a code. You have to learn that. If you don't know how to do that, maybe you're gonna be in trouble. So I don't try to say don't use an AI at the moment. Don't use a ChatGPT. So because it's fantastic too. So but analyze first, learn. So take the course. They have a lot of course. You have a lot of course, data analytics that you can learn Python. You can learn. I think the AI is gonna come soon. It will be a fantastic. Anyway, so this one we can modify the response here. I don't like this one. This idea. We can apply the clean code here. But search is equal to yes. That's it. it's going to return yes. Otherwise, it's going to return false. And this one, we can just modify this one. Web search flag. Just web search flag. That's it. That's what we need. Let's try this one. Let me just increment this one. Okay. Let me know if you can see this one a little bit better. Okay, cool. Let me just click in yes. That is the action that we are gonna do. Obviously, in the real scenario, you have to create this action a little bit more, static and automatically process. So it's not gonna be like because ChatGPT is not gonna tell you, hey, what you want. Well, depending of the situation, they asking you. So it asking you, hey, so we can process this one, but tell me or give me more information about what you want to present, what you want to do, what you want in the response. And voila, we are making a web search. It's gonna wait a couple of seconds. And we still don't have the information for the Louisville, Kentucky. Something happening here. So it's supposed to be returning some information. Let's what happened here since I made something. Give me the require. Let me go back to here. So, I see. I see what happened here. My bad. My bad. Let's go to modify this one. Let's try again. Ready. Clicking yes. There you go. We have the result, much better. So tomorrow in Louisville, expected temperatures around 23 degree in Celsius and 24 Fahrenheit. So partially cloudy skies and blah, 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 blah. Look at this. This is what the AIs work in the real scenario and how we can use it that or when we can use it that one. Not all the time try to build the AI agents. So it's going to be the best solution. So actually, so this is another thing that we are discussing, for example, in our company, so that I'm working for, we are building a couple of agents and we are destroying that one because in the real world, so making a lot of agents destroy the model as well. Because, repeat, so handle those kind of data, it is quite complicated. It is a lot and it costs a lot of money sometimes. So that is the reason that when you are working with the AI and you are working with the any generative text AI, you have to be careful. You have to be prepared. If you want to use your own algorithm, neural network. So make sure 100% how you can handle that data efficiently. Otherwise, it's going to be cost a lot of money. So, and it's going to cost a lot of money for the company. For example, if you want to check how this one costs. So let me go back to here because I don't want to show you a lot of information of my personal data. So, but I can show you. I have access to my information. Sorry, guys. Okay, I just put $10 today, and so all of that kind of tests, it just costs just 10 cents. That's it. So, but remember, this one is super easy. Imagine that you have I don't know, a giant prompt. So, and every time that you try to processing that one all the time, for example, in our company, we're processing the location, the GPS GPS location all the time, and it costs a lot of money. So in real time, to try to just track what the people are doing, because we try to transfer multiple medic equipment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and we try to track. So if the user stop in any particular I don't know, store for eat something, we have to track that information. So, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But this is how the AI agents work. So it's super easy. Obviously, you can make some complicated things because this is no like so how the models work in the real world. In the real world, it's more complicated like this. So you have to process it more settings depending of what you want. So repeat, this one has to be more automatically. So they immediately when you pass the request to the AI model, so they have to detect immediately what they want to do, depending of the different, I don't know, requirements in the data in that particular prompt. So they're gonna analyze, okay, what action, what they're gonna do. That is the reason you are seeing this one every day in ChatGPT. ChatGPT is saying, okay, searching in web. Okay, just wait a moment because I'm analyzing the previous data. So wait a moment, I don't have that data, that information at the moment. But the best or the most important here, so is check the release date of the model that you are using. And this is what the model or the model, AI model, was trained. They don't have a future data. They can consume online, they can consume in another server, they can consume in your local computer. You can set up that one. So, but they don't have a real-time data. It's impossible, probably in the future. Probably, if you know more than me, so probably if we can find another model that doesn't exist in the market, so that can handle real-time information without training, or it's going to be training in real time. That will be fantastic. So anyway, I think it is 7 o'clock. I don't know if you have a question so far.
If you all have a question, feel free to unmute yourself, or if you want to put it in the chat, we can look there as well.
Is there a particular, I don't know, website, article, place that you picked up on these skills at? Like, where would we go to find some other demos and stuff like that of Python agent AI?
IBM is the most simple website that you can go. You can go there. They offer a multiple course, so they have a videos totally free, and also Google.
Did you say IBM? Is that what you said?
IBM, yep. Okay. So you can go to the IBM. Let me share this one here.
Oscar, there's a question in the chat from Stephanie. She wants to know if you think AI is going to eliminate coding jobs in the future.
That's a different, a difficult question, but I'm gonna be honest. So you have to be prepared. So you have to be prepared because right now, in this current year, so you can use it, ChatGPT, you can use it, all these kind of tools that they have. They have an amazing tool, but repeat, they are not a human yet. So they can give it to you what we are built right now. So as a human, for example, so repeat, all of the AI agents right now that we build in the market, everything execute an action that we already learned in the past. So, okay, we made this one, we learned. So, and now we are gonna execute this one. But in the future, it's gonna be, for example, I'm not gonna be valuable. For example, the government right now is associated with Google. So building an AI for like more than 25 years of data. And that one is gonna be super, super fantastic too. So maybe in the future, but we have to be prepared in this year. So we have to be smart, and we have to know about the AI. This is our future. This is what we need to go. We have to made the course to learn about the large language model, how this one works. If you are a developer, you have to understand the mathematical equation. You have to understand how the differentiation works. You have to understand a statistical, like a regression. You have to understand everything of this concept is basic. Otherwise, so for example, any particular front-end developer that talk with me, so I don't care. I'm a back-end developer, but I know everything about the front end. And right now, so they are discussing with me and I'm making, hey, look at this. I'm handled with React. I'm handled with this one. I'm handled with this one and make this beautiful website, whatever, blah, 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 by using this tool, yeah, I know, but I use AI. I can build whatever you are doing and perform now. And that is what the company is looking right now. The big company, no all of the company. But so you have to be prepared. You have to be smart.
Yeah, I think we get this question a lot, obviously, at Code
Yeah.
I think what the best way that I've heard it explained, like at conferences or other tech events I've gone to, is like in the short term, for sure, like AI won't be replacing people, but developers who don't know how to use it will be replaced by developers who do. So I think it's just adding another tool to your tool set, learning how you can kind of complement or supplement what you're learning and what you already know, so that you're remaining competitive and really just having that edge as you enter the job hunt.
Yeah, that's it is difficult answer. So you have to be prepared, you have to be smart, you have to learn about these tools, you have to apply that one in your real scenario. So try to think every day, practice every day, make a program every day, and I try to perform using the AI tool. For example, look at this. Jean is asking about it is possible to use something like a open weather map, though, or to have an API to get the weather without searching the web. Yes, absolutely. You can use whatever you want in your AI agent. The most important here, so is every time that you perform or you execute an action, make sure 100% that you give it the results to your model, because otherwise it's not gonna work. So like you see in the example, you saw in the example that we pass it everything to the web. They make a search, but we don't pass it that one to the model, and obviously we receive the same result. That is, I'll not be able to do that, not be able to try to get the real-time information. So, but yeah, you can use it whatever you want. So, and actually, if you use the AWS and you use the Azure, like a Copilot Studios, etc., 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 that one is going to be more simple and it's going to be fantastic as well, because they include a multiple model, multiple truth, drag and drop, whatever. You can apply your own model, Python scripts, etc., etc., etc. Right now, for example, we use a MATLAB in our company. We're processing our own neural network in MATLAB because they have a powerful mathematical processing and a statistical function that they processing some data quickly, make a calculation quickly, and obviously, but that one repeat costs money.
Oscar, Stephanie had another question. She said IBM, that you said IBM is where we can learn more about AI. Are there other outlets to learn more that you would recommend?
So, so you can use a Microsoft as well, but to be honest, Microsoft is dedicated right now in their own tools. And that is the reason that I don't recommend too much. You can go to the Microsoft, well, so I think IBM and Google, so they are the most popular right now to learn about the AI. So, and also, well, a couple of books. So let me share a book that is a very it's a fantastic book about the AI.
And then Oscar, after you share that, I missed a question in the Q&A. So sorry about that. I just threw it in the chat so that you can read it if you have a second to answer that.
That's correct. So obviously they request, and so the AI agent is responsible to processing that data in a different way, because obviously AI doesn't have or they have a limitation to try to process that action. So because they doesn't know how to do that. So for example, well, I built this application to try to get the weather. Well, the weather is the most popular. It's just to get the NBA and the most popular NBA team using, so multiple players current in the current year and in the past year. So probably they're gonna choose the player from the past year, but not from the current year. So, and to do that, so we have to build AI agent or tools or action, whatever you want to call it, so to try to processing that information and receive the response what we want. You can build whatever you want here. So for example, after search in the website, I want to try to make another function here. So like for example, div calculation. Calculate the weather I don't know, average. And you can pass the response from the website and then calculate the weather after receives the response, analyze, pass it to the model, pass it to the memory, and then you can get the average all the time that you want to consult in the OpenAI. You have to learn Python. I don't know if I think I know that in the introduction, fix me is ungrown for any particular pathway. When you choose a pathway, if you receive an introduction and they gonna give it to you orientation about the Python, how to handle Python. I don't know if all of you handle Python or no. But this is a very important tool that you have to know if you want to try to work on AI. Any other questions so far? I'm gonna try to share to you this book. So it is a free book, but
And Oscar, if there's any resources that you want to be shared with folks afterward, I can share that tomorrow in Slack if you just send those to me.
absolutely. I have a lot of resources that I can send it to you, and you can share that to everybody.
That'd be perfect. Thank you. Looks like we have one more question and then we'll wrap up. Can AI agents be used in data analysis?
Everything. In everything. Well, I use it in data analytic actually to be the reports. So, for example, I don't know if you were in like 20 years ago. So when you use it in a SQL server or multiple data tools, you use it a data warehouse and you use modeling data, and then you pass that modeling data to build the OLAP queue and then processing the data. And more quickly, you can handle down into the reports and everything, blah, 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 blah. So now we're using the AI literally to processing that information. Hey, give me the average of sales in the 2023. And the model is going to be responsible because obviously in that case, in that kind of case, you use it a long term to try to consume into your database or the company's database. So obviously, this is another important thing to know in AI when we handle the AI. So the cybersecurity thing, it is quite complicated. So the companies are still fighting how to put this one more secure. I think at Google right now already released an A2A cybersecurity tool for all of the large language model and associate with Microsoft. I don't know too much about it, so I have to investigate or research. But it is quite complicated because all of the hackers right now are using the AI to try to just manipulate everything, and so we have to be careful when we handle the repeat. The data is the most important here, especially when you are a company and you want to use this kind of tool. Using a long-term memory, right? So we can have access to the database. Yes, we have to configure that on the long term. I think using an OpenAI theory is quite complicated to try to set up everything like that. But if you can use it at any particular framework, like a LangChain, so it's going to be easy to set up your database because they already have a couple of future functions and everything that you can use it in your program.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for attending tonight. And again, I will share the recording later this week, as well as any resources, Oscar, that you want to send my way. Keep an eye out in Slack for future talks. And thank you all again for attending. I hope you have a great night.
Thank you very much, guys. You have a good night.
Thank you.